So today we're back in the kitchen, me and lovely Lucy, making gluten-free focaccia, which I think is an amazing recipe because focaccia has so much wheat in it, so it's good to have a gluten-free alternative. With, not only that, tomatoes freshly picked from my garden, with macadamia ricotta and fresh basil from the roof. So like we got it all going on. Just imagine like crusty bread dipped in that. It's like a fucking showstopper, to be honest. This recipe for focaccia is actually quite similar to normal focaccia, apart from we're using buckwheat flour, which is an ancient grain, and it's got kind of quite an earthy taste. We have to put a little bit of sweetener in it just to balance it out. I don't eat much bread because I'm the kind of person that if I'm gonna get a loaf of bread, I'm probably gonna eat the whole loaf. So I try and stay away from wheat and stuff as much as possible. And that's why I've kind of got into making my own focaccias. And on retreats, people love a homemade focaccia. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm not an amazing baker. It's not like some people are great at baking. That's not me. So, you know, this is foolproof, actually. So I don't have scales, which is really shit, seeing as I'm a chef, but I don't have scales, so I'm just a bit of a guess person. So it's like 700 grams of flour. This is a kilo, so I'm just gonna check that. 700 grams, where do you reckon? It's about there, isn't it? Like, would you say? I'd say so. Yeah, fuck it, that's about right. Sometimes I think cooking's like just fucking sort of wish and a prayer. Like, is this gonna work? Oh my God, it's amazing. And then you're like, shit, how did I do that? And what were the measurements? Hence why it was so hard for me to write a book, imagine. So I've turned the oven on to gas mark 6. And then I'm gonna I just got these sachets, which is usually 2 tablespoons of yeast. And I just pop that in on one side. And a massive pinch of salt. Everyone loves salty focaccia. Bit for the vibes. And then we've got Facilian husk, which is like an egg replacer, and it's really good for your digestive system. So what we're gonna do is put 4 tablespoons of Facilian husk with 500 mils of water. And what that will do, and it sits for a little warm water, and oh shit, I think this is 3. And then what that will do is it will become glutinous. It will go kind of gloopy, and that's what's going to kind of bind it together and kind of keep it moist. Yeah, you want room temperature water because that kind of helps activate the yeast. Look, have a look at this. It's kind of fascinating what plants and things do. Look, it's going gloopy already. Looks disgusting, but also kind of epic. So yeah, we're just gonna leave that for a couple of minutes so it kind of all combines. For me, with cooking, I only like to cook things really naturally. If I'm gonna buy something from the supermarket, it will only have maximum 5 ingredients in. I always look at the ingredients. I don't want to have any shit oils or names I can't pronounce. So I try and make everything from scratch, which for some people they're like, how do you do it? Everything from scratch. But actually, once you kind of get in your flow, it's not that difficult. You know, focaccia is not going to be, maybe I'd make it once a week or once every other week. And yeah, there's something about just eating what you've made and your energy going into it. But also now, you know, you've got all this ultra processed food that's everywhere. Even if you're buying focaccia from, or even bread from a supermarket, it's probably got sugar and loads of shit in it that you don't even realise. And sometimes we can think we're eating healthy, but with now big marketing companies doing branding, healthy, organic, it's actually still a load of shit. Don't be fooled by what big companies are saying, because you know, healthy food now is worth billions. It's one of the biggest rising things. So I think we have to be even more attentive and know. And, you know, with a few simple ingredients, you can create something amazing, and it's not store-bought, and you know exactly what you're eating for you and your family. I actually haven't got a proper baking tray, so I'm just gonna use this. I reckon it'll be fine. So really welcome to the insight of that'll be all right, that'll be all right. You just got to use what you've got sometimes. I think there's this whole thing of like, we need to have like the perfect baking tray, and I mean, having a measuring thing would probably be quite good, but you do have to, I think that's life, right? You just got to learn and make do with what you've got, and it'll probably be okay. So I'm going to pour this in, and I'm going to mix the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients, which means we're going to add the Sicilian husk water. I'm going to add a good splash of agave just to bring some sweetener in to balance out the earthy taste of buckwheat, and a good drizzle of olive oil, because olive oil is what makes it and breaks it crunchy and stuff like that. I'm just adding little bit by little bit. That was about 2 tablespoons, maybe, more or less. I think with this recipe, I am actually going to write it out for you guys, because with bread, well, you kind of need to be a little bit more on it. Says me with not all the right bits. Also, with bread, I'm like obsessed with the 1900s. I just think I would have been really, well, in some ways, not as a woman, it would have been fucking shit, but like in some ways of like romance and the simplicity of life, and, you know, people using natural ingredients and all the bits. It's, I don't know, there's just something about it, you know, that you just have time and you just know more about the land because you have to work with it all. So whenever I make bread, I'm just like really channeling like the 1900 Frankie Pass, which I reckon would have a nice penny for, but like be getting really dirty and swinging on swings. So basically I'm just stirring it in, and then I'm going to fold it in to kind of get the protein bonds to really like bond together. Just a little bit. Because you're working with buckwheat, it's a little bit different to like traditional kind of flour. More sticky. It's just, why is it different? Well, there's no wheat in it, right? So it just kind of, it rises differently. It won't have the same texture as like it will be slightly different, the texture, like a little bit more denser. It will be a little bit sticky, but it will stick to itself. You know, you want it to be moist, and you want to just kind of keep folding it in for the protein bronze. So I'm going to cover this for an hour. If it was a cooler environment, because the oven's on and it's summertime, it should rise within like an hour. If not, you would do an hour and a half. And hopefully we're gonna have a focaccia, baby, that's like nice and risen. With me, with eating more of like a whole foods diet, it all started with like, well, my nan is a raging vegan and has been since the beginning of time. Like, so I always had that essence around me, and she'd always be like foraging and using natural foods. She wasn't the best cook, but when I started taking drugs and things like that and partying, my nan and my mum would always be like, oh, if you're doing what you're doing, you need to make sure you're looking after your body. So I kind of was into healthy eating then, just because I thought if I'm putting all these chemicals in, I should eat healthier. But then when I stopped taking drugs, I took it to the extreme, and because my body was fucked. So, and I was in the jungle, and I was just like, had to take everything away. My digestion was really bad. I stopped eating gluten. I just ate everything in its purest form to kind of like start again, to see what worked with my body and what didn't. And then over time, I would get more experimental with recipes. And it's only probably in the last 2 years that I've started to eat more like a little bit of homemade or organic sourdough. But apart from that, I'm really not into gluten, just because for me, it would irritate my stomach. I always think it's a really interesting thing, even if you do eat gluten, to take it out for a month and see how you feel. I always think taking something away for a month, seeing how you feel, seeing your relationship, your associations, is a really good indicator to see how it affects your body. Because sometimes we think we're eating things and it's fine, then we take it away and we realise. But for me, that was my journey. And after that, I think I'd put so much shit in my body for years, and then I started to eat really well and really natural, that I saw how amazing I could feel. And my whole journey has been about like being in my body and yeah, like giving my body the best fuel and the best environment so that I can like thrive, because that's what we're here to do, right? Thrive against all odds in all the ways. So, and then I just wanted to cook more and create more, and now I'm all about making recipes that are easy and as healthy as possible, but don't taste like the earth, because let's face it, vegan food used to have such a bad rep in the day, and now I'm more just about celebrating the plants and whole foods, and yeah, that's that really. So with the focaccia, I'm going to do like roasted tomatoes and macadamia ricotta, and it's tomato season, and I just am like, I am literally picking the tomatoes straight from my garden. It's like so epic and so exciting. Every day I come out and I'm like, oh my God, I've got another one. I've got 4 different types here. Do I know what types they are? No, but they look different and they taste slightly different, so. Also, cherry tomatoes can be so expensive, and I'm just like, I got them for free, all from a seed. So good. Look at that. Oh my God. So I'm gonna make a macadamia ricotta. When I decided to go, you know, after my whole journey of drugs and being more healthy and all the bits, a big thing I missed was like cheeses and things like that. So I kind of really played around with like nuts and things that gave like a ricotta texture. I'm not like, oh, I don't crave cheese or anything like that anymore, but it's the different textures. With macadamias, you don't need to soak them, unlike other nuts, so they're really easy. Yes, they are an expensive nut, but you can get good deals if you look about. They're actually known as the nut of creativity, and they're alkalizing. Actually, a lot of nuts aren't. Almonds are also alkalizing. So I'm just gonna use this whole bag because macadamia ricotta is like crack. So good. Well, maybe crack's not good, but you know. I keep getting told off for comparing everything to crack because like not everyone knows that, but anyway, you get what I mean. It's just like a saying, but yeah, it's addictive basically. So that's 150 grams here. We'll leave it in the fridge so it kind of sets a little bit. So nutritional yeast, I'd say like a large tablespoon. And then you want quite a good amount of salt because, well, that's just how cheese works, I think. And it's the nutritional yeast that gives it the cheesy flavour, but then you've got like this really kind of fluffy, creamy. You will need a good blender if you want it to be thick with macadamias because they're raw, they've not been broken down yet. But with enough water, you can do anything. But we're going to add the water bit by bit because we want it to stay as thick as possible whilst the blender's still working. So the juice of half a large lemon. I might even want more, to be honest, because lemon's just delicious. And also when you make macadamia ricotta, afterwards you can kind of fold in chives or fold in these things, just like you normally would with like a ricotta, to be honest. So I'm gonna start with 1/4 cup of water and see how I get on. Because like I said, with this, you want it to stay thick, so small bits at a time. Look, this is a great consistency, but it needs to be blended more. That was 1/4 cup of water, and look, it's not even moving. I'm gonna add like a dot more water. Look at that. It's just so good. It's like creamy, zesty. Topped with tomatoes and basil and balsamic with focaccia. It's going to be so good. So I'm going to pop this in a bowl and leave it in the fridge to set so it will just get even harder. So it'll be more malleable. Is that the right word? Malleable. I learned that recently. Thing is, if we'd done this with cashews, you would have to soak them, but they would never get this thick consistency like this. The reason why I love working with macadamias is there's just like no faff because they don't really need to be soaked. And when you make this and you give it as a dish to people, people are just like always so impressed. And what's in that? Water, lemon, salt, nutritional yeast, macadamias. 5 ingredients. Space. Sure. So, dun dun dun. Look at that. Well risen. That is perfect. So normally with wheat dough, it jiggles a little bit more. This is a little bit more solid. And you'll see when it comes out, it is a little bit more denser. So we're gonna drizzle the pan with olive oil. And the reason why I like to use ancient grains is because they're less, they have less pesticides and chemicals on them. They have a lot more fibre. They're easier for your body to digest. So like, if ever I see things that have got ancient grains, I'm probably gonna eat the ancient grain thing, to be honest. Just because, I hope this bloody fits. Just because it's like massive, isn't it? So you just want to have like more ancient grains. So like rye, spelt, buckwheat, these kind of grains, because wheat is just so, there's so many chemicals on wheat. There's no nutrients in wheat now. The fiber's been taken out, the bran's been taken out. So by having the ancient grains, at least you're eating something with nutrition, like as opposed to eating something that's just tastes good but basically nothing. So I always heard that you do like as if you pretend like you're a little cat. Cat vibes, like a really prouncy cat. Put some more salt on top. And then this is gonna go in the oven for about half an hour. Sorry, but just so impressed with myself. So I've got the tomatoes that I got from the garden. I've given them a rinse and I'm gonna pop them in the oven with some garlic, salt and olive oil just to like flavour explosion. Yeah, so I'm just gonna slice them like so. So then you're gonna get chunks when you dip your bread in with the ricotta and the garlic and tomatoes. Pinch of salt. And then some olive oil. And the thing is, you could actually just have a salad, but when you put them in the oven, it just like really brings them tomato to alive and it just brings more of a sweetness. So like 10 minutes in the oven, they just need to be slightly softer. It's gonna be delish. Great. So we're gonna have some fresh basil in our tomatoes and ricotta. Oh my God, nothing better than fresh herbs. Like, if only you could smell this fresh basil. So good. Ta-da! Great. So I'm not gonna put too much basil on, but like just some like little bits, just so you get bursts of fresh basil. Dun, dun, dun. Look at that beast. Just gonna let that cool down. So we've got the ricotta. Oh God, forward. These are amazing. So we get the tomatoes and we just put that in the middle, and we want to make sure we get the garlic as well, because like you'll scoop it, you'll get bits of garlic and it's just like, yeah, just fucking amazing. And then sprinkle on. And then I'm gonna put a tiny bit of balsamic vinegar on top and pepper. How beautiful that is. I'm just gonna drizzle just a little bit, not much at all. Look at that. But look, it's like really bouncy and moist. That's how you know it's good. So I want to get a bit of this and a bit of that. Look at that. Oh my God, big mouth. Oh my God. Mmm. So good. Mmm. Just so good. I actually just got nothing more to say. I think as well, like because I don't eat bread all the time, when I do, I just like absolutely savour it, because I'm just like, oh my God, this is so good. And it's all, you know, it's all organic, it's all natural. The veg is from my roof, the herbs are from my roof. It's just like, yeah, killing it.